the first place my mind goes to is culture, the importance of culture. Every company has culture, whether they want to talk about it or admit it, or put it down on paper. And so it's I would say it's so much better to be intentional about it, but it's not just better. It's the only way, in my very biased opinion. You know, again, day zero, establishing values that define a culture, and then, if not more importantly, making sure that we are actually modeling the behavior of those values. Um, Otherwise, it's just words on the paper, and making sure those values tie directly to the mission and vision of the company.
Hello, welcome to another episode of SaaS Scaled. I have a very special guest today. I would say he's a rocket scientist. I don't know if Adam wants to admit it or not, but he is. So I would like to welcome Adam to the show. And please tell us a little bit about yourself, the company, and give us some context.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me in. I like to say retired rocket scientist, so that expectations lowered a little bit. It's no, I appreciate it. I'm Adam Markowitz, one of the co-founders, CEO here at Drata. Drata is a AI-powered trust management platform. So our products help our customers establish, monitor, and then really demonstrate the security and compliance posture. We do that in real time. We do it continuously, and then that, of course, for our customers results in a lot fewer spreadsheets, faster audits, and a real meaningful risk reduction, and then the ability for security to actually accelerate revenue instead of blocking it, which is one of our core differentiators. It's been about 4.5 years since we launched, and we are proud to be serving over 8,000 global customers now in more than 60 countries, including over a third of the Cloud 100. So it's been a rapid journey to this point, but still just getting started in a lot of ways.
That's fantastic. So definitely amazing. The growth is amazing. Not many companies can claim that in less than, in 5 years or so, we have been able to get to 100 million ARR and pass that very quickly. Probably even sooner you pass that. But when you started, did you expect that? That was a kind of, hey, I know that when I started, I would be, doing that and signing up 8,000 plus customers very quickly.
No. In fact, I think we said in our initial kind of forecast and model, we said, yeah, we're going to launch. It was January, so it's the start of the year. So by the end of this year, if we've got 100 customers and $1 million in annual recurring revenue, like we're really onto something here with product market fit, and maybe it won't be head turning by any means, but it's respectable, and that that was our thinking. We did 10x that in the first year, 3x that in the second year, and it just has not slowed down. So it's what we call kind of lightning in a bottle product market fit when we launched. And obviously we've had to maintain that. You don't just kind of cross that chasm once. So it's been quite the journey. A lot of good problems come with rapid growth. So we're no stranger to problem solving, that's for sure.
And the need that you guys are serving is making it easier for companies to manage their compliancy and security compliancy, those kind of things, if I'm correct. That essentially making sure and assuring others that they can trust this company, right? So as the result, at the end of the day, that's what you guys are doing. You guys are advertising essentially your technology as a trust management platform. That is very smart and very the right way to put it there, because that's the ultimate goal. Can you tell us a little bit about, including myself, I'm not fully educated about that particular world and compliancy and everything, and there are probably many things that you guys use in everyday basis, and the abbreviations or some basics that we may not know. So if you can educate us a little bit about that why it matters, because probably your success is a testimony to that is a real need, and that is what SaaS companies need. And why do they need that, and how does it help them, and why it's so important?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of nailed it there. It's trust is fundamental, right? For any relationship, personal, professional, business to business. It's any relationship that's going to stand the test of time. It's got to be based on trust, and that's really what's driving the need, the demand for this. And this is something that we experienced in our prior lives, myself and the co-founders, which is why we decided to pursue Drata and why we're so passionate about it. Um, compliance, when we talk about it, it kind of has a bad connotation. It's historically viewed as a cost center. It's a very time-intensive kind of box-checking exercise in a lot of cases, at least historically. And it definitely wasn't tied to trust necessarily. It's adjacent to security. And so it's the part where you prove you're doing the things you say you're doing and should be doing, in our case, to protect customer data. And you're doing that to earn and then maintain the trust of really every company you do business with. And so when we launched Drata, our goal, our vision for the company is to be the trust layer between great companies. If we do that, we could help companies transact with one another much faster. And by doing so, each company reaches their full potential faster. And so compliance is just another, almost synonymous with trust in our eyes. And by doing what we do and how we do it, we're able to help these companies put it on autopilot in a lot of ways. When we first launched in 2021, we said we're going to take an automation first approach to the C in GRC. And GRC is an acronym, governance, risk, and compliance. Compliance being the part where, again, you've got to prove that you have a lot of security controls in place, you're operating effectively, and that they're doing that continuously. We put automation directly on top of that. When we first launched, it's our bread and butter, where we always wanted to be 10 times better than anything else out there. And that had that lightning in a bottle product market fit, because all of a sudden, customers of ours some who had never pursued compliance ever before in their lives, others who have been doing it, but doing it manually and experiencing all the pain of doing it manually, were able to, in one dashboard, see just how audit ready they were any given day of the year, and have continuous monitoring, continuous assurance that they were doing the right thing and on the right track. Obviously, the platform has expanded quite a bit since then, but that core vision has been the same from day one. And it's to be that trust layer between our customers and really everyone they do business with.
Fantastic. Now, talking about automation and what you did, bringing that automation and that ease of use to customers to save them time and also make the quality of the management of the whole thing much better. How do you see leveraging AI as a kind of automating the automation now in this new age of, people at least talking about it, and, they're showing at least some good indication that it might be the future?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the many ways in which AI is influencing and accelerating the need for what we provide. Again, automation being that core 10x differentiation. And in our world, automation means the continuous monitoring and evidence collection of these security controls, so that, again, a company can prove they're doing the things they said they were doing. The security control they have are actually operating effectively. We brought, again, a 10x differentiated product for that. And now, as we've scaled across dozens and dozens of compliance frameworks and standards, hundreds and hundreds of controls, AI is the way to do that. And so it's become the de facto how we can generate more and more automated control tests for our customers and get as much coverage across their control plane as possible. That's one of many, many ways in which AI is influencing this category. Again, GRC as a whole, not just the C, but GRC, has historically been a very manual, repetitive, kind of task-oriented checklist-style activity, which I don't even think I could describe something more ripe for an agentic or an AI solution to come in and help automate. And so we're kind of the center of the bullseye there in terms of how we're bringing AI to our customers to ensure that 10x automation differentiation continues to be there. Ironically, AI is also bringing more compliance frameworks and standards to comply. So our customers must prove they're doing the right things when it comes to their own use of AI. So fits right within our wheelhouse of our platform and our value prop. And then third and finally, maybe most exciting too, is that every company, ourselves included, has a mandate to bring in AI vendors, AI solutions, broadly speaking, as fast as possible, without adding new or unnecessary risk, you'd say, to the business. So we have to assess these AI vendors before we bring them in to ensure they're doing the right thing so that we can trust them. And so it's putting a magnifying glass over
Mhm.
what we're doing at scale, and how we're so uniquely positioned to do it because of how fast we've been able to execute over the last 4.5 years with now over 8,000 global customers, these trust centers. It's, we a lot of times what we'll call it is the B2B trust graph. And so no one's better positioned to take an agentic approach to helping assess our third party vendors on a continuous basis than us. And this is one of the things our customers are most excited about right now. And so are we.
Uh, Looking at where you are and the short amount of time, relatively speaking, you had to get here very fast, I have to assume that many things, many decisions that you guys have made have been really the right decisions from pricing perspective, from marketing perspective, the channels you selected, the product, the needs that you addressed. If you wanted to look back at what you did and say, these are the most important decisions that led us to here, amongst all of those zillions of reasons, which one would have been most critical that if you were making not a great decision on it, then it could jeopardize your success?
So I will respectfully challenge the question itself. Meaning, too often I've seen examples of leaders at companies that have, by all means, had so much success, and it could easily become a false positive of that must mean that I made most of the right decisions. So there's a competitive fire here, master. That's a lot of humility to know we have been successful with growing Drata despite all the wrong decisions that we've made. Well, let's get that out of the way first, and then sure, yeah, despite all the many wrong decisions, I do think one right one that I would do again is from day zero. I would say being customer obsessed, putting customers
Mm.
at the center of everything that we do, every decision that we make. Um, that has really, really helped us in ways I wish I did in my prior life with my prior startup, to the degree that we did it here, to understand where to take the product, where to make tweaks, the types of individuals to hire, the very DNA of the company. So, that's one decision that kind of transcends many others that were downstream, that I attribute a lot of the success to. Obviously, the people here that have executed for the last 4.5 years, um, like there's just, you cannot overstate the impact and how differentiating the people and the culture here are, and how paramount it was to our getting to where we are as fast as we have, because
Mm.
it's a very uncomfortable place to work. Growth is change is uncomfortable. So hyper growth is just constant uncomfortableness. And so having a culture that can appreciate that, a lot of times we'll say just intentionally uncomfortable or intentional
Mhm.
uncomfortable by design, um, just so that we have a name and a face to it almost, because otherwise it could easily be a frustrating kind of place to be, as well as uncomfortable.
Well said. Now, definitely when you start at one point, it's not just starting from zero. You bring a lot of experience from the past, whatever that past might have been. You have been, involved in many other maybe businesses, companies. You have done other software companies and other software applications and initiatives before. Now, if you wanted to look back and say these are the main lessons that I already learned before I start this company, and this has been by far the most important ones. What are those, or maybe it's just the main one? What is that?
I mean, there's a few. The first place my mind goes to is culture, the importance of culture. Every company has culture, whether they want to talk about it or admit it, or put it down on paper. And so it's I would say it's so much better to be intentional about it, but it's not just better. It's the only way, in my very biased opinion. Um, you know, Again, day zero, establishing values that define a culture, and then, if not more importantly, making sure that we are actually modeling the behavior of those values. Um, Otherwise, it's just words on paper. And making sure those values tie directly to the mission and vision of the company. Otherwise, every company would have the same values. They would make you feel good because they are virtuous by nature, but that's not the intention here. The intention is to have values that, when modeled in our behavior, gives us an advantage on accomplishing our actual mission and vision. And with trust being at the center of our entire purpose and vision, the first core value. And so, in a prior life, we lived the problem. We were it was a software company selling into colleges and universities across the country, helping their students prove their skills to employers. So there's a theme here, even though that was an education technology company and Drata as a security compliance company. At the center of both of them is trust, and earning trust by proving it's deserved, right? Proving it with evidence, not just taking someone's word for it at a single point in time, but being able to continuously prove you have the skill that you claim to have, or you're doing the thing you said you were doing with security. It's the same concepts applied to two different areas, but again, both centered on trust. So to answer the original question, culture is everything. It's the most lasting differentiator you could possibly have as a company. And we do tend to obsess over it.
Yeah, and talking about trust, I mean, we are at the age that we are talking about AI, and if anyone asks us, where do you think AI would be in 5 or 10 years? Honestly, the number one factor is how much trust people can have for the AI part of their business. If they cannot really trust AI, probably AI is not going to go fast because people will slow it down. And if people get to the point that now I trust AI because the open standards, because the data is now quality, or we have reached to the point that people can really trust the underlying data that AI is working with, or any other reasons. There are many different ways to look at it, or and that's really what matters, right? Because if we don't get to that level, AI is not going to have a great future, at least in the short term. But if we can get to that trustworthy AI, it can really accelerate very fast and can be extremely impactful. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I love most about the AI boom right now. Not just self-serving because of the value Drata brings, but just because of my belief and trust being our most precious asset in life outside of time. Like, it is bringing the conversation of trust front and center again. And it's not just that it's exposing new vulnerabilities or new things that it's shining a light on things that have always been there, right? Our security, confidentiality, integrity, privacy. These are core tenets of information security that we've been, at the heart of for the last 5 years. But now AI, just because it's so accessible and because it's so quick, any employee at any company could, bring in an AI solution and start plugging it into systems where it's potentially exposing confidential customer data in ways that might not have happened as fast in just the prior kind of cloud SaaS world and a pre-AI world. So again, it's bringing that conversation of trust and reminding everyone just how paramount it is. And we're right at the center of it to help our customers do it, and do it quickly without introducing new risk or unnecessary risk, I should say. Because we have customers, and I always point to this one customer late last year. It's a Fortune 100 customer of ours, a CISO, who said, we have to bring in AI solutions. We literally, our CFO and our board, everyone said it's an existential risk if we don't, which is great, but it's also scary because the existential risk isn't, hey, exposing our customers' data. It's not adopting AI fast enough, right? And so that puts even more pressure on this bottleneck of third-party or AI vendor risk assessment, which again, we are here to uniquely solve because no one's better positioned for it. So I've had that same conversation on repeat basically ever since late last year. And it was amazing that it started with a customer of ours that's not even a tech company. This is a major restaurant chain, I'll say. So if they have this mandate to bring in AI solutions, there's an existential risk if they don't. You just imagine it's every company.
Yeah, but at the same time, if they bring AI, and I would think about AI the same way that maybe you can think about money. It's old saying that money is not good or bad by itself. If you give money to a good guy, it
Yeah.
will become even more powerful, better guy because he can do a lot of things that couldn't do before. And if you give money to the bad guy, then with bad intention, then so money by itself is just a magnifier. Now, if you think of AI as a magnifier, and if companies don't have the right foundation, right, and if they cannot, even without AI, establish that kind of trust and establish that kind of solid foundation, now put AI on top of it, and it may magnify the situation. So to me, that's really people need to, our organizations need to be very careful to really test their foundation before really put AI on it. It may magnify the situation very quickly.
That is so well said. I agree 100%, right? The foundation has to be strong because you're going to put this magnifying glass over it and it'll expose what might have been a small gap prior. It's just going to amplify the areas, the vulnerable areas that should have been filled prior. So yeah, again, full agreement.
Yeah, because I have seen, there was a repository of great documentations and everything, but some documents may not be up to date, and then they started putting AI on top of it. And before then, that point, nobody knew about that kind of, hey, these documents are not up to date. But as soon as they added that kind of, they included that LLM there and plugged in all of the documentation, everything, with some simple questions, you could easily see that, hey, some data here is not up to date. And that is a very quick and simple and easy example of how we should treat AI. First, when we want to really include those documents into that LLM system, and just going through the documentation, make sure, because it will be magnified. So yeah, that's absolutely.
That's a good example. Yeah, the integrity of the data, right? Like you expose it very fast. It can also expose data that you thought was stored in a confidential place that it shouldn't have had access to. We've come up in this world of just shadow IT, but now it's the shadow AI. It's the same core principle. It's just, to your point, how fast it will expose things that weren't meant to be exposed or aren't even accurate anymore because it's either out of date or any other number of reasons.
By the way, one side question here. What is the logic behind the name of the company?
Behind the name Drata?
Yeah.
So I'll try to make a short answer. In our prior life, the name of our company was Portfolium.com. It was a combination of portfolio and podium. It was meant to give every student the chance to take center stage and showcase their skills or evidence of their skills in these portfolios. It was a mouthful. Like it just it caused so many unnecessary problems when everything as a startup is already hard enough. And so when same co-founders came back together to start Drata, it was we're thinking of names, and we wanted a short, easy to say, easy to spell domain, which is really hard to come by these days. And so I will admit, we found a reasonably priced domain that we then were able to generate a meaningful acronym behind that made sense for what we're actually doing, and then it's data resources, automation, testing, and audit. And that's the kind of the story behind Drata. There is one caveat, and if he's listening, he'll be glad I shared it. Our co-founder CTO, his name is Daniel, and I was very excited when I saw the Drata domain was available. He needed convincing. He just didn't see it. I had this kind of gut feeling when I saw it. That's it. That is absolutely it. I could see it now. He didn't have it. And so what got him over the hump, hopefully he's blushing. I said, what about Daniel really automates the audit? I love it.
Nice.
To the races. That was the last obstacle before we could go come out of stealth.
Great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, finding a name with 5 letter. At Curve, we had the same mandate when we started the company. We want 5 letter. But for us, it was like remove one of the vowels and make it 5 letters, so misspelling the name. And then, we were about collecting data, so it was like quick survey or collecting data. That was Curve, easy. But and easy at least for me because someone brought the name to me, so I'm just listening, and my previous marketing brain suggested that. But But yeah, but no, great name, and 5 letter definitely helps, because the shorter the name is, the better, of course.
Yes.
And finding a domain name that still is 5 letter and domain name is available is a challenge now. So
Yeah, there's always something a little bit off, and that's why when I saw it, I felt it in my bones. I knew.
and I have another random question for you. So uh, if I wanted to travel, and amongst all of the cities that you have seen, which city would you recommend that, Arman, if you have 2 weeks to go and travel and see a city, this is the city I would recommend you to go and just visit. We had a great time there, and it can be even your just hometown, doesn't matter. But what is your kind of recommended city for traveling for two
I
weeks?
love to get out more. So wherever you're going, take me with you. I do. I books all the time. A lot of. I'm based in Southern California. I'm in San Diego, so I'm outside of kind of the main tech hub, you could say. But it's nice because it's a very tight knit tech community here. It's small, and I'm a quick flight, and I'm in the area just about every week, as you could imagine. With Drata, I've traveled more than I ever have in my life. We have over 600 employees across the globe. We have offices now in San Diego, San Francisco, New York, London, and Sydney, Australia. And so it's been wonderful. We have customers in over 60 countries. So spending time with partners, customers, employees, it is a lot of travel, which can be taxing. But just this past year, I was in Rome for the first time.
Mhm.
When you ask cities that that was the first place that came to mind, because I felt like I could stay there for months and just explore beyond the meetings and whatnot that I was having. But and then I had so much fun in London. Every time I'm there with the team, we have such a great tight knit culture and team base right there in London, the city of London. It's an incredible space. We actually just moved them into a larger office because they outgrew the last one. But that was part of the fun of it, startup, and got people shoulder to shoulder, learning, absorbing, and so yeah, just London and Rome, top of my list.
So which one is the winner, London or Rome?
London was great because it's with the team, it's with the people. We don't have a big team in Rome, so that was more of a opportunistic shop. But again, I could have spent a month there. It's neck and neck.
Okay, good.
What do you recommend I should go next?
Well, to be honest with you, we for the first time we visited Maine, some places in Maine, north of Maine, during the summertime. We went there, and we loved it. So north of Maine, there are beautiful places that are small, or a little bit touristy, or some places that probably there is no tourist. Probably the place looks like it hasn't changed for the last 4 million years. There is no development there, and it's beautiful. So definitely that was really, and also southern part of Maine. We went to Portland, of course, and it has a history, and that was nice too. So in general, I would say if you haven't been in Maine, definitely consider going there during summertime. It's really beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
have a cousin there. I've been meaning to go visit, so that's a good
Yeah.
reminder. There is something special about places that, if you said they don't change, or they change so slowly that you could go back years later and it still looks the same. That's something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my last question, is there any particular book that you would like to recommend to us, either personally you liked it or on the business side?
Yeah, I think again, the first thing that pops into my head would be Courage is Calling is a good one. Ryan Holiday. I think something about stoicism probably resonates with startup founders more than most, just like the mental frameworks, handling stress, fortune favoring the bold, that sort of thing. And one thing that I took from that I already kind of mentioned earlier was just like this growth and discomfort. Like growth lives on the edge of discomfort. It's something that obviously we have to pay attention to at a fast growing startup, because the very success of the company is what makes it so uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And acknowledging that and making sure we attract the kind of talented people that are ready for that, on board for that. It's a good book for anyone, but leaders especially. But yeah, I put that at the top of the list. Courage is Calling.
Fantastic. Appreciate it. It was an honor to have you, Adam, on SaaS Scale podcast. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Mm.